Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the February 17th meeting of the Cumberland Planning Board. We have 100% attendance. So the first item is the approval of the minutes of the January 20th meeting.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes as written.
I have a comment.
Oh, comment.
if you
Go
don't
ahead.
mind. Yeah, I'm sorry, I should have spotted this earlier, but on the limitation of approval for the Story Brothers, and I'm not even sure what that means in connection with the Story Brothers getting their 5-year thing, but we're using the old language, substantially commenced within 12 months of the date upon which approval was granted, but you can get 2 6-month extensions. And actually, it should be substantially commenced within 12 months of approval and substantially completed within 24 months with up to 2 1-year extensions.
Okay.
And so I think we should do it for the Story Brothers.
Well, I think we actually probably need to we probably need to eliminate that, and, because
For the
that's a
Story
5-year
Brothers.
approval.
Yeah, so I don't even know
Yeah,
what
it's a
it means
5-year
there.
permit. Okay,
I mean, either,
so we can strike it.
but yeah, we do have problems with it. We need to remember to look at
Yeah,
those
because I think
limitations and,
I think we, yeah.
So should we strike that, or what should we do on that?
I don't know, I don't think we can just strike it from the, I mean, we can't just strike it from the minutes. It's what
Yeah.
should we bring it back at some point administratively and correct that? I don't think we need to make Story
Right.
Brothers show up, but
Yeah, does it really mean anything? I mean, for the Story
There-
Brothers, could we just leave
it really doesn't,
It
but.
doesn't.
Don't we have to let them know?
But I don't know if we should clean it up, just for,
But we don't have to do anything with the minutes,
Okay.
is that correct?
Right.
yeah, we did what we did.
Yeah.
So the minutes are accurate, we just,
Can we,
Yeah.
is that something that can that be a staff approval based on everything, or does that have to come back to the board?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, let's
I will research it and get back to you.
throw something against the wall and see what sticks,
Okay.
okay?
Mhm.
Okay, any other questions on the minutes? Then again, we have a motion for approval. Do we have a
We-
second?
did we actually, I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes as written.
Second?
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, there are no staff site plan approvals. There are no minor change approvals. So we'll go right to the hearings and presentations. And our first one is a public hearing and a site plan review, Lot 9 of Cumberland Forside Village, to construct one mixed-use building at 80 US Route 1, tax assessor map R01, Lot 12B, in the Office Commercial Zoning District with a contract zone overlay. And the applicant and owner is Lonnie Gravier. So, Bridget, can you lead us through this?
Sure. So, in email, Anne had asked that I review OCS zoning and the contract zone requirements. We also have the Route 1 design standards to look at, so there's a lot going on here. So we recently looked at the OCS standard and revised it to include dwelling units, multifamily, and also to change the setbacks to make it sort of compliant with LD 1829, what we think is coming with the new state law. And so those changes, coupled with the contract zone, allow the mixed use that's being proposed in this building. A little bit of history on the contract zone was that it was created for Cumberland Forside Village contract zone. It was established in 2002 to construct age-restricted housing on if we're familiar with it, it's a giant parcel, and there is a site plan in here for that whole thing. There have been several iterations since 2002 where they added design guidelines, and that happened before the Route 1 design standards came into place, and the Route 1 design standards basically cover the same thing as the contract zone design guidelines. The latest amendment in 2019 is to allow more residential dwellings on specific parcels, which is not this Lot 9 of Cumberland Foreside Village contract zone that we're looking at tonight. And I don't know if you have any specific questions or if that covers it.
Okay. Could I ask you, how many lots are left now in that development that have not started?
This lot, and then there's lots 7 and 8 off of the Skyview Drive
Okay.
that I know are still vacant. I
Okay,
think that might be it.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's looking really nice down there.
Yep.
That's why I wanted you to talk about it a
Sure.
little bit. I think it's doing well. Yep.
So Bridget, basically the footprint is
Yeah.
the same that was approved in, what was it, 2019, 2018?
Yeah, so on this particular parcel, we have an approved plan that was initially approved in 2017, amended in 2018, and it's basically the same footprint. I think the building footprint itself is a little bit smaller, which the town is not worried about. The town engineer was not concerned with. But the parking, the layout, all of the site plan is the same. And so we do have Lonnie Gravier here, who is planning on developing this mixed-use building to chat with us if you're ready for that.
Okay,
Well,
go ahead.
So is this really a site plan or an amendment to?
Well, it's expired, so we are calling it a site plan review. It's a full site plan review.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Lonnie Graver. I'm the owner of what will be Cumberland Foreside Village Place, a commercial and residential use. We'll have 3 1,000 square foot offices on the first floor, which I think is really needed over there, and 2 apartments on the second floor. I own the apartment complex behind this piece of land, and frankly, I just got sick of driving by this land and seeing all these weeds and stuff like that. So, so here I am. So yeah, this is an approved project already. It's expired, which, like a moron, I didn't know. Again, here I am. We're doing the exact same footprint that was already approved. Maybe a little bit smaller. That's debatable, but I think it's the same size. And I have no problem with any of the peer review comments, and I'd ask that those all be subject to, give a positive approval tonight on the site plan with those conditions to be met, other than the full requirement that a full subdivision plan be updated. The only difference is a slight variation in where the doors are. On the previous approval, there was 1 door. Now we're doing 3 separate doors for 3 separate commercial uses, which may or may not take place. There may be a tenant that wants all 3,000 feet on that first level. So I'm asking that this be approved with a simple PDF adjustment on the existing plan where we alter the sidewalks just a tad where necessary. Nothing's changing. Nothing's changing from the original approval. So we've provided all the plans, all the lighting. We have to provide these architectural plans to the fire marshal, and we'll abide by whatever they want us to do naturally in order to get a build permit. But again, I'm asking for a site plan approval with conditions to be met as we're building.
So, questions from the board? I'm confused on the 1 building. I thought there were 2 buildings there.
There are 2
2 lots.
buildings. We actually built the abutting building 8 years ago, but this is a 2-lot
Okay,
condo
so-
subdivision, yes.
Got it.
And they'll have a shared driveway. It's a single level building on the right. This one on the left is 2 levels, which will require more likely than not a sprinkler system. And it allows for commercial and residential, which we're providing.
Oh, okay. I got it now.
Yep.
Any other questions? Oh,
So I guess
Bob?
the one question that comes to my mind is if you're going from 1 entryway to 3 entryways, the only thing I can see the difference is if you guys are doing your impervious calculations or what you're doing, the walkways or how those work, and I would assume that you're adding impervious area with 3 entryways. I'm not sure about.
We're actually not. There's just going to be one single sidewalk that abuts the building that runs along the backside of the entire building.
So it doesn't change that at all.
We're not changing any parking spaces. We're not minimizing or maximizing. We're doing the exact same infrastructure as already approved.
Other questions?
So Bridget, what are we gonna do? If that's expired, are we just reapproving it basically with this one change? I mean, we don't,
Yeah, so you're reapproving it, there are findings. There are findings added for the Route 1 design standard, which the original approval, I believe that I put in this packet, the notice of decision from the 2018 decision. They were less specific on the Route 1 design standards. And then the proposed conditions of approval. And the one condition of approval that carried forward from the last approval in 2018 was the planting plan to show the addition of the 3 spruce trees. So I carried it forward from the last approval to this approval as a condition.
I have no problem with that.
So we have to do a new approval, it is new findings, but it is like we're doing a reapproval of the plan.
Do we have a precedent for not having to, I mean, it makes common sense not to have to redo the whole plat or whatever, so we've had precedents in doing that before.
Not with me. Do you recall any?
Yeah. I think the way she's.
If I
done
may,
it
it
is
makes
not-
even more sense with, I apologize, I cut you off. But Pinkham and Greer, the company that originally did this subdivision plan, isn't even in business anymore. So it would be a challenge to, really in my opinion, an unnecessary expense to update this plan to where we're not really updating anything.
Yeah, I mean, just as long as we aren't setting some kind of precedent that's gonna come back and bite us,
I
I
don't
don't-
think so. The town engineer did a full review on the 2018 packet.
yeah.
Okay.
Any other,
Bridget, not that I want to, knowing certain other items on the agenda, is this something that could just be handled as an as-built? Approve what we have and have them come back and do an as-built approval?
We will require as-bills
Right.
after it's completed to return the performance guarantee.
Okay.
Is that,
Well, I'm just saying, if we approve everything, do we have you provided a plan showing the 3 entryways instead of the 1?
I'm providing the building design, yes. Again, if you're looking at this plan,
Right. But there's,
Josh,
Okay.
I can do de minimis changes during the construction process. So if there's really 1 tenant identified or 3 tenants identified and they need 3 doors, and if it's a minor alteration to the plan, then
Yeah.
I have the authority to do those.
okay, so the what's in here right now is, what plan is this?
It shows the 3 entrances.
Yeah, it's February 2nd, 26. So
Yeah.
it doesn't have a sheet number on it, but those are the correct building plans or the images. Okay.
Yes.
If I
Yeah.
So if we're coming around to this building here, right now you have a proposed door right here, best I can tell, I mean, I guess. So this, we need flexibility. We don't know if we're gonna have a tenant for a third of it, 2/3 of it. So we wanna be able
Oh.
to be flexible, so there could be a door here, a door here, a door there, or there could still be a single door.
I understand. So what you're proposing may not actually be what you're going to build anyway. It's going to be completely dependent on who actually wants to fill that space. Okay. Works for me.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
This doesn't set any precedent that we're concerned about.
The planning board doesn't set precedent.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, I have one question. So the current building, I take it, is that a condominium or is it leased?
It's a condominium owned by a mortgage company. You're
Okay.
talking about the abutting building?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep, we built that and sold it, yeah.
Okay, and you have no idea who the new tenants or the new owners will be, but you're convinced there's a market for it as well?
I have no idea who the tenants will be on the first floor, commercial-wise. I'm very confident owning 96 units behind there that we'll be able to fill 2 luxury apartments up above, and I'm very confident that we'll be able to rent the 3 1,000 square foot.
I'm sorry, I guess I somehow missed that, so it's mixed use?
Yes, mixed use.
Yes.
Oh, cool,
Yeah,
okay.
I apologize if I didn't make that clear.
Yeah, no, very cool, yep.
Any
that's
other
nice.
questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll open up the public hearing. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to comment on this?
Bob Vale, Cumberland Center. Just a point of procedure. This is, in essence, a new application. The permitting has expired, and so was the town attorney consulted? And I would think that at a minimum that perhaps it should be tabled for a. Because, like you said, you're on uncharted waters, and there's a chance of precedent being set here, and I would think that perhaps it should be tabled, and a responsible town attorney to provide directions, because I think the findings of facts need to be read. It is
Yeah, I agree.
it is a
Oh,
new.
we agree with that.
I agree with that,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I looked at it as a new application.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's the way I reviewed it,
yeah.
we have to
because,
do
I
that.
mean, it's 8 years old.
It is new.
Yeah, I agree. We're treated this as a new application. It just, you've already have all the information necessary to make a decision.
Right.
And that's what I'm asking for, a single visit tonight for an approval with the conditions that the peer reviewer laid out, with one change that I'm requesting as far as that plan be altered via a simple PDF on the existing subdivision plans rather than a full-blown new stuff, which is going to be unnecessary, time-consuming, and monetary money's too high.
Okay. Is
That was
there
very
anybody-
stupidly said, but that's, you got the gist.
Yeah,
Peter, let me just, hey, Bridget, what we have is a full packet, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
And it was
thank you.
reviewed by the town engineer.
Right, thank you.
Stacy, do you have anything?
I'm thinking, it's all right.
Okay, anybody else from the public wishes to comment on this? Hearing no more comments, I will close the public hearing and go back to the board. Do you have something, Stacy?
I just listened to what Bob had to say, and I agree with what he's saying. However, I understand that it's a lot to go through again, so.
Okay, so where does the board want to go to this? Are we ready to read the findings of fact? So Ann, you win the prize for the first one.
Yes, and there is one change I want to make right off the bat, and that's the limitation of approval. If you look at that at the end. Must be substantially commenced within 12 months of the date upon which the approval was granted. And we should add, and substantially completed within 24 months of today, the date on which this approval is
Hey,
granted.
Ann, can I just, what we did before, and I'm actually looking at it right now because of your prior comment, it's section 22, it's section 229-11, expiration of approval under site plan. And I think we ought to just reference.
Right, that's what
that.
I was going to do.
But yes,
Yeah.
it's commenced within 12 months of the date upon which approval was granted. If construction has not been substantially completed with 24 months of the date upon which approval was granted, we can do 2 one-year extensions.
We all set with that?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, well, let's charge onward.
Okay. Now, don't we need a motion?
No, we have to read the findings of fact first.
Okay. Approval standards and criteria. I'm sorry, I better come over here. Utilization of the site. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because there are no known environmentally sensitive areas, rare and endangered plants and animals, or significant wildlife or fisheries habitat. The planning board finds there are no wetlands or other environmentally sensitive areas on the site, as evidenced by letters received from state agencies during previous subdivision review. Traffic, circulation, and parking. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the layout of the parking area allows for safe vehicular and pedestrian circulation. C, stormwater management and erosion control. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because a complete stormwater report has been completed for the proposed development and has been included in the submission packet. The planning board finds an erosion control plan has been prepared and included in the submission packet. Water, sewer, and fire protection. With the proposed condition of approval to provide a capacity to serve letter from Portland Water District, the planning board finds this standard is satisfied. The planning board finds the building will contain sprinklers. E, water protection. The planning board finds the site is not located within a town aquifer protection area. The planning board finds that both public water and sewer connections will be utilized. There will be no unordinary storage of hazardous materials, and stormwater best management will prevent degradation to groundwater, water quality, and the aquifer. F, floodplain management. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the site is not located within a floodplain according to FEMA map 23005 CO 539F. G, historic and archaeological resources. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because there is a letter on file from the Maine Historic Preservation Commission stating no historic or archaeological resources are known to exist. Exterior lighting. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the proposed lights provide adequate downward-facing lighting. I, buffering and landscaping. With the proposed condition of approval, the planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the landscape plan shows a mixture of deciduous shrubs and trees that will provide a year-round buffer from neighboring properties. J, noise. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because after construction, the development will not generate excessive noise beyond the limits of the site. K, storage of materials. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because no bulk materials will be stored on site. The planning board finds that residential waste will be contained in town-approved bins. L, capacity of the applicant. The planning board finds the applicant has financial capacity as evidenced in the bank letter in this packet. And I know that's a new bank letter too, isn't it? I mean, we have an updated one.
Yes, yes.
Okay. The planning board finds the applicant has the technical capacity as evidenced by the use of qualified professionals listed in the application packet. Although we do need an engineer, and that's in the conditions of approval, I noted. We need a new engineer to be listed. But that's a condition of approval.
Okay, yeah.
So I digress. Okay.
Yep.
M, design and performance standards. Route 1 design standards are applicable. The rest are not. N, Route 1 design standards. Shall I read these as well? I can do that. 200, master planning. The planning board finds this standard not applicable because only one structure is proposed on the site to join the first structure. Okay. 301, site design. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the proposed structure fits into the existing topography and vegetation with additional landscaping to reduce the appearance of the building. 302, Route 1 buffer strip. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because a 75-foot buffer strip will be maintained according to the site plan. 303, vehicular access. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the existing driveways of Route 1 will serve the lot. 304, parking. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because parking is set behind the building away from Route 1. 305, service areas. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because no exterior dumpsters, recycling facilities, mechanical units, or loading docks are proposed. 306, electric, telephone, and cable. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because all wired connections from existing utilities on US Route 1 shall be made to individual lots via underground conduit. Section 400, building standards. 401, building design. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the building is designed in the traditional New England style of architecture. 402, facades and exterior walls. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the building facade includes windows, doors, and an awning to soften the appearance. Building entrances, 403. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the building entrances are clearly defined. 404, building materials. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the siding has a painted clapboard look and a traditional roofing material will be used. 405, architectural details. Architectural details such as colonnades, pilasters, gable ends, awnings, display windows, and appropriately positioned light fixtures shall be used to reduce the scale and uniformity of larger buildings. 406, roofs. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because a flat roof is not proposed. 407, windows. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because windows shall reflect a classic New England style by featuring divided lights or window panes and detailing trim around them. 408, awnings and canopies. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the proposed awning will enhance the appearance and function of a building by providing shade, shelter, shadow patterns, and visual interest. 500, signage. The planning board finds this standard is not applicable because no signs are proposed. Now, limitation of approval, we're going to change that, as Josh suggested,
Yep.
to read as the statute does. Okay. Standard condition of approval. This approval is dependent upon and limited to the proposals and plans contained in the application and supporting documents submitted by the applicant.
And
Yep.
those aren't part of the,
Oh, I don't need to read that.
you don't need to read those.
Okay, and I don't need to read the proposed conditions?
We're going to have to talk about those.
Okay.
Okay, so right now, we have 8 conditions of approval.
Hold on. I make a motion, we adopt the findings of fact as written.
A second?
And amended. As written and amended.
and amended.
Okay, thank you.
A second.
Second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? So we go into the conditions of approval. Right now, we've got 8 of them.
Well, Bridget, I think 4 and 5 are combined.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I caught
There
that.
says there's really 7 right now.
Yep.
In the CV and Mahar February 16th letter,
Yeah.
they mention a capacity to serve from Portland Water District, but also the Cumberland Sewer Department. Do we have a sewer department? I mean, I know
think
the
that's-
town has to
That's
approve.
Mr. Sturgis. Town manager Sturgis is our sewer department.
I mean, I've never seen that as part of a condition of approval. So we're good with just Portland Water District,
We're good,
correct?
yes.
Okay. There was one other one in the February 16th letter about a double row of erosion control protection measures along the upslope of the wetlands. So I think that would be number 8 then.
I have all town's engineer comments are
Okay.
addressed to the satisfaction of the town. Do you want to, is that, or are we not specific enough?
I mean, I think this is, to me, that's making sure all the pre-construction stuff is done. This is an actual during the process of construction.
Yep, that's fine.
And then I don't see your piece about an engineer in the,
Well, it says, wait a minute, 5.
Number 5.
Engineers shall be provided.
yeah, that's
prior.
actually, that's the
Sorry, that was a
extension of
typo.
4.
It was 5 and 4 should be,
Oh,
thing.
town manager and town engineer.
yeah,
Correct.
that was my.
So
Okay.
I
Well,
think
then it's not there.
we just make it a proposed condition, number 9, evidence of technical capacity provided to town manager or to the town prior to the start of construction.
So that's 9.
I think that would be 9.
And again, what's addressing the CV and Mahar comments?
That was, they had a February 6th letter that had a lot more comments, and then the February 16th letter didn't have a whole lot.
Oh, okay. So we're clear on that now?
Yeah, one of them was the project cost, which isn't in there, but we don't necessarily, all we need is a financial capacity letter as far as I know. And that's in there now. And then the other 2 are now in.
So I
The
guess,
proposed.
are we ready for the final motion?
Well, Bridget, how do we want to handle the, what is actually, so I'm just going to,
You wanna
in
be-
229-11 is actually an expiration of approval, not a limitation of approval. So that's how I'm going to read this.
Okay.
Okay, so I will make a motion that we approve site plan for Lot 9 of Cumberland Forside Village to construct one mixed-use building at 80 US Route 1 Tax Assessor Map R01 Lot 12B in the Office Commercial South Zoning District, subject to the expiration of approval, the standard condition of approval, and the 9 proposed conditions of approval.
Okay, do I hear a second? Second?
I second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? Opposed? And, so we have 5 and 2. So it's approved. And we'll go on to item 2, which is a public hearing, site plan addition of 333.2 kilowatt solar array at 290 Tuttle Road, tax map R03, lot 51A in the rural residential 1 zoning district. Applicant owner, Town of Cumberland, Representative Alex Roberts of Pirrell, Alex Robert Pirrell of Revision Energy. Bridget?
Sure. So we are receiving this proposal because town council voted to approve the addition to our existing solar farm right back here off of Drown Road. And we've had Revision Energy drop the plans for us, and they've been working with CMP and DEP and all of the acronyms on our behalf. The plan has been peer reviewed by Doug Reynolds, and we are right now in a good standing. I think so that if you downloaded your packet last week, the packet today is the most up to date. We've received the thumbs up from Grohl Palmer that the town is satisfied with all of the responses that we received from the application. So if you go online right now, that packet is updated. The older packet had one additional condition of approval in there, but it's since been removed. So that's where we are in this. And then we've got Alex from Revision to answer questions. And if you've got a little blurb that you want to go through, I'll allow that if the board, at the board's pleasure.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name's Alex from Revision Energy, and apologies for my voice. I have a 8-month baby, so I have all the daycare illness last week that I'm recovering from. Matt Sturgis is here and can also answer some questions or speak to kind of why the town pursued the additional project. And just for the background, the 2018 project was originally set up as a PPA, which the town bought out just to extract kind of the full value of that project. And then this project will be owned and operated outright by the town. So it's owned by the town from day one, and all of the power generated, which is about 450,000 kilowatt hours annually, will offset exclusively municipal CMP accounts. So if you have any more kind of value to the town, why the town sought it out, I'd welcome to direct those questions to Matt. But otherwise, for the project, and I think you all have the visuals, but I invite Bridget to put the site plan up if needed. But so the array will sit between the existing array and Drown Road, 250 kilowatts AC. And as she alluded to, the project has already been studied and approved by Central Maine Power to interconnect to their infrastructure right there on Drown Road. And as of a few weeks ago, which I think is the condition that was wiped away, the DEP applications have all been submitted. Similar to your last project, this will be a minor revision to the town's solid waste permit, which essentially says the cap can continue to function as designed at the landfill with the addition of the solar. So SME is our civil contractor for the project and prepared the analyses for the DEP for that approval, which were also provided at the request of Grohl Palmer. So you have, I think you have that entire additional 100 pages or so that went to DEP. The bulk of that application and approval is in that we're not creating post-development stormwater changes, which the project is not, and a settlement analysis that essentially says that the cap and the waste underneath, which has all been engineered for that purpose of protecting the landfill, won't involve settlement slumping, which causes other erosion issues. So there were no engineered issues there as well. So those have all arrived at DEP. I requested today if they could give me a projected timeline of that approval. They vary a little bit. The solid waste for this approval isn't tied to the timeline standards of like Land Bureau right now. So the last couple of these that we've done, it ranges from about 3 to 6 months. So ideally the DEP is through their approval later this spring, and then we'd be able to pursue construction in the dry summer months, which is the ideal time to be on a landfill cap to minimize any damage to the cap. So I can just quickly walk you through the plan and then take questions. But so similar to the other system, the interconnection is at the north of the site. This project can exist within the existing fence, so there's no additional fence needed to meet electrical code or security needs. A couple updates to the system from the other one, just as landfill projects are 6 or so years newer. The old project had cast in place concrete ballast, which sits atop the landfill cap, so there's no penetration of the cap. The newer system uses what's called crushed stone ballast. So instead of bringing a concrete truck onto the cap, you essentially have crushed stone and assembled baskets that, again, sit on top of the cap as ballast, and then the racking system is built into those. So crushed stone versus concrete. And then also the conduit between the rows and out of the limit of waste is also ballasted, so there's no berming or excavation of the cap materials until you get outside of the fence, which is the outside of the limit of waste, and then it can go into a normal trench. Otherwise, same kind of construction plan to utilize the gate the southwest of the existing landfill, and then we use crane mats to distribute equipment up onto the array, and then smaller like tracked lulls in vehicles to distribute equipment through the rows. And again, that's all just in an effort to minimize any damage to the cap. We did update the older kind of natural resource findings, so I think you'll all be aware there's some wetlands to the south of the cap. Those have just been redelineated, so they're in the record, but nothing is happening off the cap and nothing is happening within a protected setback of those. Everything is up on the cap. And then you'd see in the erosion control plan that we're using erosion control all along the downslopes of the system just to prevent any runoff into those wetlands during construction. Only thing else I'll mention quickly is the rows are laid out where they are specifically to both meet setbacks of the venting system on your cap, as well as a slope analysis that SME did, which just makes sure that the ballast systems, which are essentially balanced on the array cap, aren't in areas where the slope exceeds about 10%-ish. So we're staying off the steeper slopes of the southern area of the cap. I'm happy to take any questions, or Bridget can ask me to fill in any.
Okay, questions
gaps there.
from the board? Bob?
So do you have it sounds like you're going to use a different ballast system?
Yep.
To hold it down?
Yep.
Do you have a picture of what you have now and what you're going to have? How it looks?
I can provide one. I didn't bring one tonight. They, for all intents and purposes, look pretty much the same. They're from 100 feet away, a gray rectangle at the base of the racking, and then the racking system is the same with
I get the racking system same. I just know that
Yep.
there's some concern about, the visibility from the road and some, just seeing if it looks completely different or similar, or, how, just
Yep.
what we have now and what we're going to have.
Yep. I can send Bridget a photo of ballast. We've built a couple systems with that newer ballast.
And there's no upgrade to the Drown Road for the electrical with CMP? And
They will. The 3-phase is right there. I think they're going to extend one pole past where it is, and then across the street so electrically the systems are different, which the town kind of strategized for to protect the metering plan for the old system, because there was a change in the law last year, and so this one will be metered discreetly. So the meter will be set up right by the existing transformer, but they'll be discrete, if that makes sense.
Other questions from the board? Stacy?
At certain times of day and times of year, if you drive through there, just where the sunlight starts to hit the current set of solar panels, which I know are very difficult to see from the road, which is great. There is a glare that comes from the ones that are closest to what you're proposing to put as the new panel set. And I was just wondering, since this is even closer than that, is that kind of reflection going to happen with these new panels?
My guess is, and I would have to go drive it maybe at the twilight hour. I know that the cap has some undulation, and so it's probably catching. I assume you're saying, like, if you're driving from south to north, the westernmost.
If you take Wyman Way and you drive as though you're headed towards the Drown Road Apartments,
Yep.
or towards Tuttle.
Yeah,
You can just see the edge of the existing array,
Yep.
and it's just a glint, but you can see that reflection. And I just wondered, since all of this is even closer, if that's going to catch the sunlight and reflect. It looks as though it would be a.
it'll be closer to the road.
Oh,
it,
yeah, much-
it shouldn't be more significant than the existing. It's the same materials.
Is that because it's formulated differently in terms of where it's pointed towards, or?
The orientation will be the same, fully due south. So it's essentially a continuation of the rows, as you can see, with gaps between. But kind of the angles and orientation would match what's there now.
It sounds as though I see no buffering. Has anyone thought about the idea of?
Yeah, we talked about buffering with planning and codes during a pre-application conference. The conversation was that it would be consistent with what's there to not create a significant change to the area. And then the bigger thing that I think codes had raised was we can't plant vegetation within the limit of waste of the landfill,
Right.
which goes pretty much up to Drown Road, and then I think the space between the road and the fence would be limited where they had identified that as not something that they would be looking to require. If it was something to look further at, then I guess that's a question to reopen with codes and planning and Matt. So that was the initial discussion.
How much room is between the fence and the road?
Not much.
Not much.
Not a lot. I think there's, and I forget what's right there, because the snow right now, if it's a small grassy knoll, so not a huge amount.
So are you saying then that because of the cap, that we can't do a buffer, or it's possible to do it? I mean, driving up there and everything, it would seem to me, as close to the road as they are, that that it would be, I think it would be more aesthetic to put some buffering in there.
I think it would be a question that we can look at with probably codes and engineering, just with the space of that gap. If there's any, and Bridget might know, I'm not sure if you have a standard of encroaching on the roadway with vegetation, that creates any sort of, if you have dense bushes adjacent to the roadway, if that's an issue. But it's something that we could look at with codes and engineering, if what would fit in that space, which is
Who is
on the small
codes
side.
and engineering? Is that
The city engineer and Bill is
Bill
who we
Longley.
met with before.
Bill Longley? Okay.
And I don't know who your city engineer is, so referencing it generally.
Goral Palmer.
So we don't know really whether or not this new array of solar panels is going to create a glare issue? Are you saying we won't know until it's in there?
So I think the general response is that the modern module often isn't creating as much glare as, like a pane of glass or a standing water. It's meant to absorb, not reflect. But recognizing the road is slightly below the cap and you're already seeing a little bit to the side, I just don't want to say you're
Right.
definitely not going to see it. It shouldn't be significant based on the materials that are there. But
Yep.
I don't want to say, I don't believe that there will be significant glare issues there, but I'm not going to say there will be absolutely zero based on what you're saying of there already being a little bit there.
Stacy,
Yeah.
what is the particular concern about the glare?
The people who are living in the Drown Road apartments and the people in the Village Green.
The
I
the
believe
modules
the
are
array
fixed in.
tilts away from the Drown Road
Yeah, it's about
apartments.
35 degrees south.
This is what I'm
fully,
asking.
fully fixed.
Yeah.
So I think for your case that you're referencing, it's only specific to if you're driving up that one small stretch of road, whereas the residential apartments are looking at the backs essentially. So they're not, the faces of the modules are directed 180 degrees away from those apartments.
And I think I think it's so high too that even screening isn't going to prevent that from happening.
So, yeah, sorry, I didn't know that you were talking also specific to the apartments. They're not directed into the apartments to the north as they're fixed to the south, or I know there's houses further over to the west, and again, they would be looking directly side. So the modules are not oriented at either of those residential
Oh,
properties.
I'm sure. That's,
Other questions from the board? Yes, Ann?
Yeah, I would like to hear from the town manager as to what the addition of these solar panels will mean to the budget and the,
Go ahead, Matt.
Good evening and welcome, Matt Sturgis, Town Manager. Good to see you all tonight. And I promise I didn't ask Member Sawchuk to tee up that question, but I greatly appreciate you asking. This is a great project for the town. Specifically, it helps us meet our climate action plan goals, which have been laid out and approved by the council years ago. One of the first towns in the state to actually get a climate action plan. Fiscally, it sets us up in very good stead. It helps us towards our electrical independence for all town facilities. Town, not school, but that's huge for us, and it gives us long-term fiscal or financial stability without the volatility that we all experience with our electrical expenses, most notably after January 1 of this year, it seems, at least based on my own experience paying my electrical bills. So it helps us in that regard. It gives us that stability. We have I think it's a 6-year break-even point. And then after that, and a big portion of that was the timing. We took advantage of the prior tax structure that expired December 31st or January 1st. So that helped us, take advantage of credits that exist out there to offset our acquisition expense. So that was significant. We also have the ability to use the renewable energy credits and subsidize those syndicate those so we can generate revenue from that as well to the extent that the market will provide it. So that will give us some passive revenue to help offset the expense that the town has, which also expedites our break-even point. So the big takeaways from this is energy independence, long-term financial stability, and cost certainty, as well as meeting our climate goals. So those are the big three there. And as far as goals to attain, those are also very difficult goals to attain. So we're very proud of that, and the council funded it all in this past year. The town had the funds available, so we took advantage of favorable federal tax laws and timing and good and portions in the market. And Revision's been great to work with on that for us, providing us all of the if you want to go back and look at some council meetings from last spring and early summer where they looked at all the financials on it. They provided all of that with good guidance on that, as well as expediting the acquisition. And we needed to pull the trigger on ordering the equipment before the turn of the calendar. So they did all of that for us as well, so we could take advantages of all the benefits that are out there. So it's a great project for us. As far as looking at where we're at, it's probably one of the best uses, as we've seen, and successful uses of a capped landfill. And without the penetration, that's the one challenge that we had as far as looking at plantings or getting into that. You can't break into the ground because that kind of defeats the whole purpose of what we have there. But the soils are great there, the slopes are great, and so we're looking at a good, stable project that really provides benefits to the residents of the town for the long term.
Thanks, Matt.
Welcome. Thanks for the question.
Any other questions from the
Actually,
board?
for Matt, actually, I was at the
Matt?
town meeting for that. And correct me if I'm wrong, this was all funds that were previously put away as well, so this is no impact to the taxpayer at this point.
No, it does not. Yeah, these were, part of it was funds and tip of the cap to Helene DiBartolomeo, our finance director, by the town setting up years ago when they initially did phase one of this project, or the first installation of the town from that point was setting aside funds for the acquisition of that initial project. And then the town also, through a lot of Helene's work, pulled together funds that we had in other areas that were somewhat associated with that to help us pull together the funds. So yeah, so there isn't an impact, or there was not a net to tax effect this past year. So it was done out of reserve funds that we had available to do that, and helped us to actually act quickly, where other towns might have to look at, do bonding or doing some other form of lending to try to do that. So we had the funds available, took advantage of it, and had a great opportunity to do so. Yeah, a lot of great work there by a lot of good staff people.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Matt.
Thank you.
Stacy?
Yeah, I agree. I remember the first project, and it's the best possible use for this particular property and what's under it. It's, so don't get me wrong, I think it's excellent on all sides. I just was wondering if anybody had looked into, because of the closeness to the road, that glare issue. And
Oh, sure, Ms. Daigle. Yeah, I know I've driven through there at different times of day, trying to see that as well in different perspective. When we're leaved out, and there's areas that, when things are greener, there's different perspectives. But I've tried to look at that at different angles across the past, over the past 6 to 8 months, to try to see, okay, what are we looking at here? We hadn't received any public input on this as well from the project. I mean, you all didn't as well, but we try to pay attention to that. We were trying to anticipate questions that might come from abutters, and it's been fairly quiet when it comes to that, if non-existent. So
wonderful.
But we're excited to see it happen, and if we do find something in the future and there is an area that we need to address, then we will try to reconcile that as well.
And I think as time goes on, the break-even point's even going to come closer with what you're talking about, because I have no idea what people pay for electricity, because I've had solar for about 5 years now, and people talk about their bill, and it's like, I don't see that, so it's a great position to be in.
It's not pretty, and I will say, as a large user, and we have other alternatives. I mean, because there are other options that we may have in the future for other town properties. We have a little bit of a capacity that we can include everything that the town owns. So we're trying to work on that and try to find different creative ways we can do it, but it also gives us some expansion for growth in the future as our needs might be there. But we did strive to, as Alex would say, when we tried to keep it under a certain size, because the level of review that we would have had to gone through would have been significant. So we're in that sweet spot that we can maximize our benefit while minimizing the regulatory and interconnectivity challenges that we have with CMP.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments from the board?
Bridget, there's no reason, these would be subject to the 30-foot side setback, correct? There's no scale on here, and I don't think they're within it, but
Hold on.
If not on this sheet, SME did show setbacks on one of the sheets.
Okay.
I believe they are outside of the setback. It was measured. If it's not on there, we can add it.
fine.
But
I mean,
they were provided and they're outside of the setback. Yes.
the setback doesn't go away, so
Right, the
you,
setback
you're
wouldn't
not
go
gonna
away.
wanna build it there, cause then
Yeah.
Bill's gonna go pull a tape and,
I can, if
I don't know what number it is.
they certainly had it on, so if the layer got turned off or something, I'll
fine.
shoot them a note.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the board? If not, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to comment on this? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing and go back to the board. Are we ready to read the findings of fact?
And I did it again. I
Yep.
listed the limitation of approval instead of the expiration of approval.
At least it's consistent.
Rookie mistake.
So Lorraine, can you lead us through the findings of fact?
Yes, I can.
Spreading the wealth.
Findings of facts are written as, I'm going to read. A, utilization of the site. The planning board finds the standard is satisfied because the additional array is situated within an existing fenced area and designed to minimize impact to adjacent properties and natural resources. B, traffic circulation and parking. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the overall parking plan is unchanged. C, stormwater management and erosion control. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the installation of the additional array will cause minimal disturbance that will not have adverse impacts on abutting and downstream properties. D, water, sewer, and fire protection. The planning board finds this standard is not applicable because a solar array does not use water, sewer, or fire protection. Water protection. The planning board finds the site is not located within a town aquifer protection area. The planning board finds the project will not impact groundwater. Floodplain management. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the site is not located within a floodplain according to FEMA map 23005, C as in Charlie, 0517, F as in Frank, and 23005, C as in Charlie, 0536, F as in Frank. Historic and archaeological resources. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because there is a letter on file from the Maine Historic Preservation Commission stating no historic or archaeological resources are known to exist. Exterior lighting. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because no lights are proposed. Buffering and landscaping. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because there are no proposed changes to the landscaping plan. Noise. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the additional array will not cause additional noise. Storage of material. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because no bulk materials will be stored on site. Capacity of the applicant. The planning board finds the applicant has financial capacity because the project is funded by the town of Cumberland, who is under contract with Revision Energy. A financial capacity letter is on file at the town. The planning board finds the applicant has technical capacity as evidenced by the use of qualified professionals listed in the application packet. And the design and performance standards, none of the design and performance standards are applicable.
So,
Make a motion that we approve the findings of fact as written.
do we hear a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I guess I would say I would have liked to have seen some buffering on this, but I would still like it to be looked into, but if it's just not possible because of the landfill and all that other stuff, then fine, it's not a hill I'm gonna die on.
I can both meet with Matt because I won't volunteer the town's dollar just yet, but both Matt and the town of if there's something reasonable that can fit in the really small amount of space, and that could be built into a building permit, or
Okay.
we can at least say we had an additional meeting and we didn't discard it.
Yeah, that seemed to be satisfactory
you.
to everybody.
Yes.
Okay, we've got one, so far, just one condition of approval, that the MDP solid waste permit is submitted to the town prior to pre-construction conference. Are there any other ones?
Well, do you want to,
Have to vote.
We didn't vote.
Oh, all right, might be a good idea. Again, moved and seconded on the findings of facts. All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous?
Peter, do you want to put the discussion of proposed buffering opportunities in as a proposed condition of approval?
No.
Okay. And they don't have the solid waste permit at this time, correct? It's still pending?
Application is in review.
Okay, so I will make a motion that we approve a site plan amendment for an addition of 333.2 kilowatt solar array at 290 Tuttle Road, tax map R03, lot 51A in the rural residential 1 zoning district, subject to the expiration of approval in section 229 of the town charter, the standard condition of approval, and the one proposed condition of approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Just a couple of things. I was on the town council when this Phase 1 was approved, and the public should know that everything that was promised, numbers, output, and everything was met, which I think gives you folks the credibility. The other thing is we had a lot of concern from the Village Green people that they were going to have negative impacts to their property value. With the average selling price the year that we approved the project was $555,000. The average selling price in 2025 was nearly $970,000. So there was no evidence of any catastrophe as far as prices were concerned. And good luck and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, ready to move on to item 3, which is a public hearing to the amendment to an approved site plan for Maine School Administrative District 51, AKA MSAD 51, for changes to drainage, landscaping, scoreboard location, etc., located off Tuttle Road, Tax Assessor Map U11, lots 1, 4A, 8, 9, in Main Street, at Tax Assessor Map U11/U13, Lot 1/112. The applicant owner is MASAD 51. The rep is Pat Carroll of Pat Carroll Associates Landscape Architects. Bridget.
Thank you. Pat, do you want me to pull anything up?
Yeah, if you could pull up the site, do you have the site plan? Or
Yeah, I
I
have
have
it
it on a flash drive. if
Oh, either
that's-
way, whatever you want to do.
If you want to pull it up, that's probably the
Okay.
easiest.
Well, I think the memo speaks for itself. Just going through some of the changes that have been made. We talked about this briefly last month. We will, moving forward, the school has already come to me for some minor change approvals, so we're going to try and get ahead of those if we can. And this is what, on the spot, kind of getting through construction of a big project looks like. So, Pat, I'll let you take it from here. I'll
Yeah,
find
can you
this.
pull up the site plan? Is that?
Yeah, it's in
awesome?
here. This one.
Yeah, and if you
Teeny
could, maybe
tiny.
can you zoom into kind of the upper quadrant, because that's really what we're talking about. So my name is Pat Carroll. I'm with Carroll Associates, as Peter said. And we've been working on a school construction project that started last summer. And the focus of, a lot of the focus of the amendment is really on work that was done during the summer construction period, summer through fall of this last year. There were some changes that were made, a lot of which Bridget and Bill were kind of aware of, but we didn't formally go through with a kind of de minimis change request as I think we're supposed to do. So I want to apologize for that. I also want to apologize for missing last month's meeting. I don't know how that happened. I've been doing this for 40 years and I've never missed a meeting before, but somehow or other that one, I think it was a combination of the holidays, and I don't think we actually even got an agenda. Usually we get one a few days ahead of time. We didn't get one that week, and I think Scott and I both kind of missed it for some weird reason. It was really kind of embarrassing.
I definitely missed it.
But anyway, most of these changes are really they're very minor in nature, but they are changes to the approved site plan. So I wanted to go through those with you, explain why the changes were made, and then offer any kind of comments on any questions you may have about it. So the first item that was changed is there was some landscaping that was going in along the north property line by the adjacent, on the north side of the new parking lot that was adjacent to the library. So there was some discussion with the neighbor there about, we had some arborvitaes that were supposed to be provided for screening for their property. We also have a 6-foot solid fence that went in, and everybody's happy with that. So the arborvitae, they didn't really, according to the neighbors, they wanted them shifted slightly to provide better screening. So we did shift them slightly. We haven't changed the number of plantings out there, just the locations on that bed of planting through here. So that was item number 1. Item number 2, there was, as you remember in the approved site plan, there was new 3-phase power that was brought in kind of off of Main Street, and originally was going to run right down along the property line and then along the back of the property line over to the new maintenance building. And in the construction documents, there were a couple of trees out here that we had not identified that needed to be taken down for that power line to run through there. So we took those down. Bridget brought that up as something that was not approved. So we have added 7 flowering trees along this side, which is, I think, a pretty nice amendment to the removal of 2 other trees that were along there. So that's the second item of discussion here, is these 7 flowering cherry trees that are running along the esplanade there. So they were selected because they could fit within that space. They could also grow up and be underneath the power lines that run above them. So I think that'll be pretty nice. The other item relating to the power line is that originally the power line came back like this and over. We all met out there, and Bridget was with us, Bill was with us, and with CMP, and decided to cut the corner of the parking lot slightly to avoid some vegetation in this area. So that's another change that it's minor in nature, but it is a change to what the approved plan was. Everything else relating to the power line went in as per the plans. We also had an area on the north side of the new turf field, and there was an area in here that there was some additional clearing that was required for the grading and swale and drainage that had to occur on the north side of the field over what was on the original plan. We had originally said we weren't going to touch any vegetation within here. So we kind of worked with the neighbor and included 10 white pines in this area, and also an 8-foot fence, solid fence along this area too. So we've kind of worked pretty closely with the neighbor to try to ameliorate any impact of visual or noise impacts from the field use. So that was item 1C. Item 1D, I believe, is, again, that's the power line issue over here. Item 1E is the scoreboard. Initially in the original plans, the idea was to leave the scoreboard where it was. There was some discussion about the school purchasing their own scoreboard, a new scoreboard, or somebody donating it at some point. It wasn't clear what was going to happen, so we just said we're going to leave the existing scoreboard. I did talk with Bill about this, and he said, asked him about permits for the scoreboard, and he says we don't permit signboards. So we ended up actually locating the new scoreboard here, which provided a better viewing from the grandstand, and it worked out better from an installation point of view, and it's away from kind of the neighbors on the north side of the field too. So that was item 1E. Item 1F is the fact, and it's not really shown here, I guess we can zoom up, but we had some pedestrian lighting along this walkway that connects from the athletic field down to the PAC. There were 3 lights located along there. And in the original plan, those lights were on the east side of the walkway through here. And in discussing this with the contractor, it was determined that it would save a lot of money because we wouldn't have to be trenching across the existing sidewalks and then patching sidewalks and so forth if we moved all the lights to the other side of the sidewalk. So that's, again, that's a pretty minor change, but it is a change. And then item G is that we kind of, in the fall, as the new maintenance building was getting kind of opened up. Actually, it didn't open up till December, but in the fall, we were doing some paving in here, and the district decided to go ahead and pave this area of the parking lot. That wasn't on the original plan to do. So when we paved that, we took another look at where the parking really wanted to be, relating to handicap parking and parking access to the field, and also access to the backside of Greeley High School. And so there was some restriping that was done in this area. We haven't really lost any spaces, but we've kind of shifted parking around as far as handicap goes. And then the last item here is item H, and that is really kind of there was a drainage swale that was proposed along here. It was going to be a grass line swale. And what we found out, and part of it was because there was some construction delays on the maintenance building, but we found out that the parking lot drainage, there was a pipe that came out over about in here somewhere. And that parking lot, remember last summer we had 3 or 4 really heavy deluges. And it was at the time that we were building this field. And the swale was originally designed to capture all the water coming off the driveway and this maintenance building area. But because these weren't built to the grades yet, because they were behind in schedule, we were getting water coming down through here, and there was a bioswale wet pond here. And these storms were just blowing that out and blowing out the backside of the field. And I think we repaired this about 3 or 4 times before finally we said, you know, we got to do something about that. So the engineer came in and decided that what we really needed to do was rip-wrap that swale. And I think there was a memo I submitted to you with his initial kind of comment back to the contractor and back to the owner that, you know, we've tried to do this, these storms are really crazy, and we really need to kind of get this done. I think we were at a point where we were ready to put turf down on this field. The base was all just perfect. It had been tested for permeability and everything else, and we had a pretty major washout this whole corner had to be rebuilt at one point right before this happened. So again, it was kind of an emergency situation that we needed to kind of do this in order to stay on schedule. It's definitely something we probably should have run by Bridget and the town engineer, but we did have our engineer update the stormwater management plan to include this riprap swale and in their calculations, and everything seemed to work okay. And I think that town engineer at CV Mahar has signed off on that. So those are really the improvements that we're asking for an amendment to the site plan on. And like I say, they're minor in nature. A lot of those we've had informal discussions with the town on, but we hadn't really made a formal requisition or request to have those changes made. And I guess we're going to do that from now on. Well, we can talk about that. It's not included in this. I don't think we've even kind of broached it with Bridget yet. But there's a neighbor over here that when the lights went in for this new maintenance building, what's happening is they're over the garage doors here, and they just shine down. The garage doors are white, and it just creates a lot of glare. And so Scott's been working with this property owner, and again, we did plant some trees in here, and they have trees on their side of the line, but the lighting was still kind of, and the headlights too. So we have proposed, and I think the neighbors agreed to put a 6-foot fence in along that section of their property line too, along with some changes to the timing on the lights. I think are they gonna go on a motion detector? Motion detector, so that should solve that problem.
So do we need to add that in as when we're going through everything as another one of the conditions of approval, that they do that, or how do we do that, Bridget?
I don't think it's a condition of approval.
It's gonna have to be reflected on the site plan at some point, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
So I think they're just gonna have to
If you
come
just
back
move
and,
forward with me, we'll be fine.
Yeah, I guess what I would propose is that we deal with that as a de minimis change, which a lot of these should be and could have been if we would have worked with the town on that. And then at the end, we are required to provide an as-built drawing.
correct.
Okay.
Quick question. You're talking about a garage door that's facing the backside. It's the lights above the garage door. Is that what you're talking?
Yeah,
on
there's
that side,
garage
facing the
doors.
neighbor?
I think there's 2 or 3 bays here.
Why don't you guys just paint it like black and matte finish so it doesn't reflect light? It'd be simple. Wouldn't have to change anything.
Yeah, that's a thought.
Well, I think
Why
that
they
he
do
also
white.
mentioned headlights, but yeah, or, But-
Well, I mean, you can't change the headlights from being back there.
correct. But the fence would help with the headlights, but yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
could
think- I
also
think
make
the
the whole
fence is-
situation
I
a
mean, I
little
think
better
that-
by
I mean, it's
repainting the
simple.
doors.
It's a
Yeah, the
pretty
district is
simple fix.
fine putting the fence up, so,
Well, I mean, just as long as we make sure that, you know, this is resolved to the neighbor's satisfaction. An unintended consequence that legitimately needed to be done. Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, and this, I'm not sure if this is the applicant or Bridget, but when something's on the landscaping plan, if it doesn't, if one of those 7 flowering cherries doesn't make it, is that, they have to replant, correct?
Yeah, so anything on the landscaping plan, I think what our conversation has been that your contractor has a 1 year from planting date for those trees to survive, so, everything will be replanted. So that's the expectation on the town, is that a year after things are planted, they're still alive.
yeah, we did have, you know, these trees out here were planted this fall or summer, and we had 3 or 4 of those that have died, and those will be replaced in the spring by the contractor.
Right.
At no cost.
Okay, any other questions? Yes, Lorraine?
It's not really a question. I don't know if we should address it after the public hearing, but the letter from the abutter about the language being used about the trees.
I was going to do that.
Okay,
as part
all
of
right.
the, prior to the public hearing. I was
Okay.
going to read that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bob?
And since.
Well, and I think that the language in our documentation should reflect what actually happened.
And it's been revised.
It has.
Yes, so what you see now in the packet is a response to the abutter comment, and we can talk about that when we read the letter,
Okay.
if you want.
So, 1A, 1B, you guys ran 3-phase power back to the maintenance building, and I'm confused because you talked about taking some trees down. I think that's what we're talking about, the trees here, and then you talked about replanting some other lower trees. But is that underground or is that above ground, the
It's
power?
above ground.
Above ground?
Above ground, they're on pretty tall
Okay, so
poles.
that's why you're planting something.
Yes, yes.
And did the existing trees, were they, I guess it wouldn't matter because it was already, the 3-phase is already there. So you were just extending that 3-phase power, is that right?
Well, there was no 3-phase power running back there. The
Okay,
3-phase
so it's
power
all
came
brand
in
new
off
above ground.
of Main Street, and it came in, and at this point here, dropped underground and went into the high school.
Oh, and then you went this way with it, okay.
And what happened is there's a underground vault and a transformer in the rear of the school that CMP doesn't like. And so, when they looked at this and looked at what the needs were to get power to this new building, they said, we really need to bring three-phase power around. And in fact, there's a second pole there that ultimately, I think we even put the conduit in for that, will run, that three-phase power will continue around and come back into this building and replace that underground vault that's there.
So you have a redundancy, yeah. Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
I don't know if it's pertinent for now, but I appreciate your humility of the apology for not showing up last month. And hopefully that any viewers or people that were here last month that showed up for that accept that apology as well. But definitely appreciate the humility on that.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Before I open the public hearing, I'll just do this brief letter from Lee Buffington, and it was regarding the paragraph, removal of 3 maple trees in addition to 7 flowering cherry trees along the west side of GHS driveway along neighboring property, completed upon neighbor's request with town planner. And his writing is, this is a very misleading statement that makes it sound like we neighbors requested the school to remove the 3 maple trees that the school district removed in violation of approved site plan. As you know, we were upset at the removal of the 3 maple trees, which then triggered the remediation plan consisting of planting the 7 cherry trees to which we agreed and you approved. Please alert the planning board of the need of clarifying language to set the record straight at Tuesday's planning board meeting, and that has been done.
Yeah, and if you don't like it, we can reword it. I was just trying to list the changes that have been made in the bullet points. So I did the removal of 3 maple trees, and then a new bullet point was the addition of the 7 flowering
Okay.
cherry trees.
Okay, and now we'll open the public hearing. If anybody in the public wishes to address this, please come forward. Yes.
Hi, Steve Pardue, 367 Tuttle Road. I abut the lower section of this. The scoreboard, does that have speakers on it? No, okay. What I'm most concerned about is the trees that are being removed. According to the town center design standards, for every tree that is removed, a like-sized tree should be planted. And I think I counted 200 trees that were removed from the site, and I cataloged it. And I'm concerned, since the maintenance shed has been pulled down, where my property is here, all of this, the vehicles coming in, the headlights, this comes towards my property. But I just wanted to make, bring that up, that's something that I think got overlooked, and it's a pretty substantial impact to the center of the town. And if you could take that into consideration for future trees and things in that site plan. I think that's it.
Anything else?
Yes, it appears to me that that's kind of a pretty legitimate suggestion.
Well, I don't have an exact quantity of trees. It might be on here, but if you counted up all of these trees that are here, there's 42, 68, 80. There's probably more than 200 trees being proposed to be planted on this campus before all is said and done. So,
But I think we're talking about specifically now that they've taken the maintenance shed down and seeing
right.
seeing what the effect of that is and the aesthetics, not only to his property, but, people coming down Tuttle Road. I mean, I think
I understand. I just wanted to, first of all, he was talking about the ordinance requiring trees to be replaced, and I think we're more than covering the number of trees. I don't know if there were 200 trees that were removed. We didn't do a count because we didn't have individual trees on the survey. But as far as his other concern, and that's this area over here, if you remember, we went to the council, and there is a 15-foot no-cut zone that's along this side of the parking lot. Or wait a minute, I'm on the wrong,
You're in the wrong
wrong school. Here we go. There's a 15-foot no-cut zone along here, of which we're supplementing trees along there. There's probably 10 or 12 trees that are being supplemented along there. There is a 6-foot fence that runs continuous along this property line, all the way down. In fact, at this point, it turns to an 8-foot fence, and it runs down, 8-foot fence all the way along here, and then a 6-foot fence all the way up along here. In addition to that 6-foot fence, there is evergreen planting proposed along this section of the property line too. So between the 6-foot fence and the proposed plantings, I think that's going to do a lot to mitigate headlights from this parking lot.
But if it doesn't, what is our remedy after this thing? I mean, what I don't want to see is all of a sudden, and I think it goes for the aesthetics of people on Tuttle Road too. I mean, what I don't want to see is all of a sudden that schools get built and it's painfully obvious that we need trees. The plan has been approved and we have no authority.
Well, I don't know. I mean, all I can say is you approved this plan a year ago, as is, as far as all the as far as the landscape plan, the plantings.
But
and
the
so
thing
forth.
is, it looks fine when you're doing it on paper, but all of a sudden, when the building is down and you get to see what's actually happening.
There's no doubt, and I think that's, we've been working with all the neighbors. I mean, we've probably talked to just about every neighbor that abuts this campus. And again, working with the neighbors over here, we've kind of adjusted things and added some things here. Working with the neighbor back here, we've added some trees and adjusted things. We're adding a fencing in here. So we're always going to listen to the neighbors. And if in fact, when push comes to shove, there's still issues with this, I think the district is more than willing to kind of look at
And-
doing some additional work.
I
Stacy?
think,
I'll look at Stacy then.
sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Go.
That's all right. I was just going to say, I know that when we approved this, the last two things we talked about were making sure that the abutters had their property placed back in the same way it was before you guys showed up, or better condition.
We did, and we've worked with Mr. Sharp. I've probably met with him 5 times.
Mr. Sharp, who's that?
I'm sorry, Mr. Pardue.
Pardue.
I don't know where Sharp came from, but he's a sharp guy, but.
Since the maintenance facilities come down, all of that, there's some additional trees that were taken down from that area. I'm concerned, and. as
Can
far
you
as-
go to the, I think the public
Come on
wants to
up,
hear you also.
Please. To the podium.
Yeah.
And you can
guys-
stay.
Yeah, I'm not disputing. They did meet with me and they've agreed to plant some trees and that's fine. But since the maintenance shack has come down and there's some other trees, even the lighting, which is gonna change once the school is up and, I won't see, hitting stuff here, sorry.
I got it.
No, I understand it's a work in progress, but I'm gonna have to deal with what's left when it's done. And like the arborvitaes, right, they've already had to adjust them there. There's this section here that I'm concerned about, because they've been more than helpful with this. It's this here that I'm concerned about.
Is that a retention pond? Is that what that is?
It is, and we're actually looking at perhaps relocating that,
Right. But I think that.
which would offer some additional buffering in that area.
Right. I think the town center design standard says no matter how long it is, it could be 10 years if the trees go down there, to have to put them back if they're not providing what the intent was at the beginning, not the 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just urge everyone to kind of, let's just look at this when it's finished.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sir.
We can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, sorry.
I would just urge everyone to be patient about this, because we've got a long ways to go. We've got another year and a half of construction before this is going to get finished up, and there's plenty of time to kind of review things and understand what the impacts really are. And I think the district has always been trying to be a good neighbor on this. So they're not going to, if there are issues, we're going to take care of it.
I think my biggest concern is, to that gentleman's point, is the fact that we've already seen a pattern of things happen and then we go to the town after the fact. So I think that from where I stand is, if something's going to happen, that we go to the town and make the amendment before we start cutting down trees or before we do other things that are going to impact the neighbors. So I think going the proper route, I think, is the important part about this. That I think the neighbors would have more faith in it if it's not, hey, after the fact, we're going to put up a fence, after the fact, we're going to fix this, or after the fact, we're going to fix that, or we're going to put up 7 cherry trees instead of 3 maple trees, right? So I think the procedure is just as important as the outcome here.
Well, I think, I agree with you, but we also have a construction project that's under a pretty tight timeline. And sometimes things happen that decisions need to be made, and sometimes we don't have the opportunity to wait a week or 2 weeks for the town to come back with an answer. So it's typical of any construction project. This one is probably more intense than most because
And more sensitive.
it's more sensitive. We're surrounded by neighbors.
Yeah.
But we've been trying, I can say this honestly, we've been trying to meet with every neighbor that has a concern, and we've been trying to meet those concerns right from the get-go. And we'll continue to do that.
Peter?
Stacy?
Sir, before you leave, Mr. Carroll, I'm sorry, but you did say to us, you folks approved this plan. And so I take issue in a small way with that, when you're saying we need to be able to be fluid and move and not have to go back to the town for every little thing that we need to do. If you're going to say to us, hey, you people approved this plan, I don't think that's an appropriate response to what we're hearing from the abutters and what we're seeing that are changes that have been made that we're now approving in after the fact. Thank you.
Okay.
Any, Ann, then Bob?
Okay. I was just going to say, didn't we have a condition in there that changes to the plan would be discussed with the neighbors? And are you telling us that that's what you're doing?
Yes. I mean, that's why we ended up with fencing and additional plantings at the north end, is because of discussions with the neighbors.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we couldn't hear you very.
I'm sorry.
well. Yeah.
Bob?
Yeah, I think, I think you got a lot of planning. I think you have a lot of screening. I think maybe, I don't remember from a year ago, the type of fence that will be there in the end. I know it's a construction fence right now, so it doesn't do what it's gonna do. What are you guys putting in for a final fence? Is it 6 feet tall, and what is it?
It's a 6-foot solid cedar fence.
PVC, like white?
Solid, no, wood.
Cedar.
Okay. So that's gonna give you a lot more. And I think the retention pond issue is the biggest thing right now, because that area is obviously no trees. And, I think when you get your final fence up, it's gonna look a lot better. I'm not sure it's gonna look perfect. I mean, it is a big construction project, and I think that, if you guys continue to work together on it, you're probably gonna have to come back here for some other changes. You're a long way from finishing. That he's gonna have an opportunity to come back and say, this went well, it didn't go well. I don't think we have to decide it today. And I think she made a nice point that, you can't ask for us approving the plan and then say, hey, we're gonna come back for changes and not, and decide when you want to. I think that's a very valid point, but I feel like when that final fence is in, except for that retention pond, because you really can't plant a tree there. There's no way to help that out that I can see. But there's a lot of planting other than that, and I think we've got some time between now and final construction to maybe hash this out one more time.
Anybody else? Anybody? I just want to codify this damn thing so it gets done. That, you know, the feet to the fire is that, that they do meet and they do, and if Bridget has to get involved, so be it, or Bill Longley or whoever, but I just want to make sure that this doesn't go under the rug and that stuff that needs to be done is done. Now, there's the big man, all right.
I think Bill's our number one avenue for figuring out if it's going well, you know, during construction. He's reviewing it constantly, right?
Yeah.
So,
But sometimes this stuff, you know, we've seen a pattern
Yeah, yeah.
of going in and rechanging, cutting this, doing that. So I just don't want this under the rug. Scott?
Yeah, Scott Poulin, I'm the Director of Finance, HR, and Operations for the school district. I will tell you that our Board of Directors, our superintendent, and everybody in our office, including our contractors, you know, Pat, everybody, we're committed to making this project work and things working with our neighbors. We have been all along, and we'll continue to do that. So I want the planning board to have the assurance that we will work with the neighbors and we will figure things out as we go along. Okay? So I just want to let you know we're committed to that.
Okay, thanks, thanks. So the public hearing is still open. Is anybody else from the public wish to speak on this? If not, I'll close the public hearing and go back to the board. Anybody have any
Peter,
thoughts?
I think there's one word in the findings of fact that needs to be changed under I, buffering and landscaping. It says the planning board finds the standard is satisfied because the updated landscaping adequately replaces the lost vegetation and has been coordinated with neighboring residents to address their concerns. I would say the removed vegetation, because I don't think it was lost. I think it was something that part of the construction process was removed and had to be remediated because of that.
So how are you suggesting that, Reed?
Instead of lost, the removed
Well,
vegetation.
I think we maybe add removed if you want as an and, but there's other landscaping changes that were made in this, like.
In the totality of these changes, okay, got it.
I'm okay with adding removed to it, we just can't, they weren't all removed.
Like an and/or removed.
Correct.
Right.
Removed and/or lost and/or just
How
needed.
about removed and/or lost? That'll work.
I'd be better with that. Thank
So, before we, I just, are we do we need to add any kind of teeth? I mean, I just don't want, you know, this thing built and all of a sudden, you're driving down Tuttle Road and you're seeing, say, nothing of Mr. Pardue, just it's the whole thing has changed. The view is kind of changed now that the annex has been taken down, but I will defer to you folks, but I just want, I mean, I've worked with Scott, you know, for God knows how many years, but I just want to make sure this thing gets done.
My concern has always been and will always be for the neighbors, and I just think that whatever it is that they have for issues, we need to listen to them on the same level as we listen to everything else on. It's just I think it's important, especially where it's a big project, and it's a very cramped project.
Yeah.
I just think it's extremely important. We promised that we'd do that, and I personally want to keep that promise.
So at this point, I mean, too, I think between Bill Longley and such, I would say if you're having some issues, I would come to Bill and Bridget. I mean, unfortunately, the way this thing works, you can't come to us because we're I think we're very interested in this thing being mitigated. So, are we ready to do the finding as a fact? Yes, no?
Sure. I think so. I think we are.
Okay, so Ann, you win the prize
I do.
again.
I got this one now. I downloaded this particular section yesterday, so I hope I've got the right.
You're good. Yep.
Okay, good. The findings of fact. A, utilization of the site. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the amendments do not change the overall master plan of the site. B, traffic, circulation, and parking. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the overall parking plan is unchanged. C, stormwater management and erosion control. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the amendment will not have adverse impacts on abutting and downstream properties. D, water, sewer, and fire protection. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because there are no proposed changes to water, sewer, and fire protection. E, water protection. The planning board finds the site is located within a town aquifer protection area. The planning board finds that both public water and sewer connections will be utilized. There will be no unordinary storage of hazardous materials, and stormwater best management will prevent degradation to groundwater, water quality, and the aquifer. F, floodplain management. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the site is not located within a floodplain. According to FEMA map 23005, C Charlie 0517F for Frank. G, historic and archaeological resources. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because there is a letter on file from the Maine Historic Preservation Commission stating no historic or archaeological resources are known to exist. H, exterior lighting. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the relocated lights will remain downward facing. I, buffering and landscaping. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the updated landscaping adequately reduces the removed and or lost vegetation and has been coordinated with neighboring residents to address their concerns. J, noise. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because the amendments will not cause additional noise. K, storage of materials. The planning board finds this standard is satisfied because no bulk materials will be stored on site. L, capacity of the applicant. The planning board finds the applicant has financial capacity because the project is funded by bonds issued per public referendum vote approved on June 11, 2024. The planning board finds the applicant has technical capacity as evidenced by the use of qualified professionals listed in the application packet. M, design and performance standards. The one that applies is 3 town center district design standards, but they are not applicable for the proposed amendments.
Okay,
Yep.
so looking for a motion to approve the findings of fact.
I'll make a motion, we adopt the findings of fact as written and amended.
A second? Second?
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, it looks like we have no,
Yeah, and Bridget, we have the other limitation of approval again. But in this case, these are all as-built, correct? They're already done, so there really isn't any need for an expiration of approval.
Right. And I'll point out that last year when we did,
This is
approved
the
it.
one we did refer.
we changed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we changed it, and in the minutes, it was changed.
Okay.
So this, really, maybe we could take it out or something.
Yeah, I mean, because we're not amending, we're not removing it from the site plan as a whole, we're just removing it from this amendment,
Yep,
correct?
that's fine.
Okay. In that case, I will make a motion that we approve an amendment to an approved site plan for Main School Administrative District Number 51 for changes to drainage, landscaping, scoreboard location, et cetera, located off Tuttle Road, tax assessor map U11, lots 1, 4A, 8, 9, and Main Street at tax assessor map U11/U13, lot 1/112, subject to the standard condition of approval.
Excuse me, did all members vote when we voted to approve or not approve the findings of fact?
I did not.
I don't believe everybody voted.
No.
I think you voted all in favor, and then we
Didn't
needed
have
to
any
have
against.
We had
we-
no against.
those.
Thank you.
we didn't have a vote.
You did have a vote, but you only asked for all those in
Okay.
favor.
So let me do that to clarify. So all in favor? Opposed? Okay, 5 and 2.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have the other motion. Any other discussion on that? Just to say,
Do we have a second?
We have
yeah,
a
we
second.
did.
Okay.
Yeah, just the only comment I have is, Scott, you know, I'm depending on you to, make these folks take care of things. So all in favor? Opposed? 5-2, it passes. Okay, do we have any, that does the regular business, do we have any, don't have any new business? What does March look like, Bridget?
We have one site plan application for 48 Blanchard Road, the Reed lot, which is a CCLT conservation land that's privately held by the Reed family. It's a proposal for a campground.
Okay. Okay. Nothing else, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to
adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.